finals. And so I'll leave it there. I mean, I'm just obviously disheartened. I'm a human too. I have a family. I have two kids who are devastated by these comments. And so all I'll say is just, it's obviously been.
Everyone expected her to patiently wait her turn, smile for the cameras, and accept everything without complaint. They believed Caitlin Clark would simply be grateful to be there, happy to learn from the legends while sitting at the end of the bench. But it now appears the WNBA may have pushed its biggest star too far, and the consequences are arriving like a tidal wave of headlines. Reports claim that the Golden Girl of women's basketball has privately told insiders she no longer wants to play for the Indiana Fever. The strangest part is that it wasn't only the players who pushed her to this point. Many believe Commissioner Cathy Engelbert unintentionally validated the toxic environment that led to this shocking situation. Instead of waiting her turn, the story has become about walking away. If the rumors are true, the league could be on the verge of losing its most valuable global superstar. It all started with what many have called one of the biggest roster mistakes in sports history, a decision that shaped everything that followed. When the roster for Paris was announced, the name responsible for sold-out arenas, soaring TV ratings, and unprecedented excitement was nowhere to be found. The selection committee insisted Clark hadn't earned her place yet and argued that the team needed experienced chemistry to win gold. But let's be honest, very few people believe that explanation. To many, it felt personal. Before she even stepped onto the Olympic stage, the decision-makers had already chosen to leave her home all summer while fans watched her signature deep threes and dazzling assists. The message was loud and unmistakable. You may be famous, successful, and popular, but you're still not one of us. Yet that rejection was only the beginning. If leaving her off the roster suggested indifference, what happened once the WNBA season started looked like something much worse. It became open season on Clark. If you're enjoying this video, make sure to like it and subscribe to the channel. Believe it or not, more than 83% of viewers still haven't subscribed. It's completely free, takes only a second, and your support means everything to us. Have you subscribed yet? Great. Thank you so much. Now, let's get back to the video. Fans witnessed blindside hip checks, including the infamous incident involving Chindy Carter that sent Clark crashing to the floor before the ball was even in play. They watched constant physical targeting, face guarding, and aggressive shoves that went well beyond normal basketball. But it wasn't only the players. The silence from league leadership was impossible to ignore. It appeared as though WNBA officials were comfortable allowing their rookie sensation to be hazed on national television. They were slow to discipline players and hesitated to upgrade obvious fouls until public backlash became impossible to ignore. That failure to act became the turning point. Then Commissioner Cathy Engelbert stepped in and poured fuel on the fire just as things seemed to be settling down. During a CNBC interview that many viewed as a public relations disaster, she appeared to downplay the hostility surrounding Clark by comparing it to the Magic Johnson and Larry Bird rivalry of the 1980s. Smiling as she spoke, she emphasized the marketing value of the rivalry and its importance to the league's business, yet failed to clearly condemn the very real accusations of hatred and hostility surrounding players and fans. It was a major mistake. Instead of reassuring Clark, many felt she validated the idea that the negativity and physical targeting were simply good for business. It created the impression that the league cared more about headlines and profits than players' safety and mental well-being. Her comments immediately sparked intense criticism. Even the WNBA Players Association, which usually supports the league's growth, released a statement distancing itself from Engelbert's remarks. Players like Nafisa Collier and Breanna Stewart were left to speak against bigotry in sports, something many believe the commissioner should have done herself. For Clark, however, the damage may have already been done. Imagine being the employee responsible for record profits, charter flights, and massive television deals, only to hear your boss publicly suggest that the attacks against you are good for business. That's the kind of betrayal that makes someone question their loyalty, and it's exactly why the rumors about her leaving continue to grow. You can't discuss this situation without addressing the elephant in the room, the resentment of the old guard. The same veterans and close-knit group that had controlled the Indiana Fever culture for years created what many described as an exclusive club. Rumors circulated for months that some veteran players didn't want the Caitlin Clark circus disrupting the chemistry surrounding Paris. It wasn't just about basketball fit. It was about the spotlight. Diana Taurasi famously warned Clark that reality was coming. Yet those comments aged poorly after Clark led the league in assists and shattered rookie records. By leaving her off the Olympic roster, many believed the veterans were protecting their legacy and preserving the culture of their locker room. Instead, they may have disconnected themselves from the next generation of fans. Yes, they won the gold medal, but they also lost the public relations battle, turning away millions of new supporters who tuned in to watch number 22. From that point forward, the story took a dramatic turn. Rumors from insiders suggest Clark wasn't simply sitting at home disappointed about missing Paris. According to speculation, she began taking steps to protect her own future. Reports claim that after being left off the Olympic team, targeted physically on the court, and feeling unsupported by the commissioner, Clark decided to shift her focus away from the national program. It would be a powerful statement. She knows she's driving television ratings. She knows she's the reason for soaring ticket and jersey sales. If the Indiana Fever doesn't fully value her, she no longer needs anyone's approval. She understands that her brand has become bigger than any logo. Rumors even suggest she has quietly indicated that if the current culture continues, she has little interest in accepting future invitations. If that decision ever becomes reality, the consequences would be enormous. It would raise the possibility that league politics and a lack of support push the face of the sport away from representing her country. That would completely reverse the balance of power. The WNBA and the Indiana Fever operated under the belief that players needed the system to succeed and that winning an Olympic gold medal was the ultimate achievement. However, Clark has shown that she may actually be the system. If the reports are true and she steps away from the national team, they would lose their most valuable marketing asset during the 4-year build-up to the Los Angeles Olympics. The commissioner may not fully realize the financial impact that decision could bring. For LA 2028, they needed Clark's face on billboards and promotional campaigns, yet they're trying to market a product that many new fans simply aren't interested in without her. Just look at the numbers. Before Clark arrived, the WNBA struggled with half-filled arenas and limited financial growth. Since she entered the league, attendance has reportedly increased by more than 40%. Television audiences have skyrocketed, and the league secured a record media rights deal worth more than $2 billion. That revenue has provided veteran players with better travel conditions and increased salaries. The irony is impossible to ignore. While Clark is often treated like an outsider by parts of the league and some veterans, everyone continues benefiting from the success her popularity created. If she ultimately decides to focus only on the Indiana Fever while stepping away from international competition, she would essentially leave the national team to rely on an older generation of players who simply don't attract the same level of attention. To understand why Clark might consider such a dramatic decision, it's important to revisit the commissioner's role. When Kathy Engelbert was asked about the worst aspects of the online conversation surrounding the league, including racism, sexism, and threats, she shifted the discussion toward business and rivalries. She compared the situation to the heated NBA rivalries of the 1980s. But while those rivalries were intensely competitive, many fans argue today's toxic online environment is completely different. For a young player like Clark, who has remained professional and composed throughout the criticism, those comments may have sounded like the league was saying that as long as people keep watching, it doesn't matter how she's treated. To many supporters, that only fueled the belief that the league values her popularity more than her well-being. Then there was the chemistry argument used to justify leaving her off the Olympic roster. The selection committee claimed there wasn't enough time to integrate Clark into the team system and argued that her fast-paced, high-volume, deep shooting style didn't fit with the veteran slower approach. But that explanation was questioned by many after the WNBA All-Star Game, where Clark and her teammates outplayed the Olympic squad. Clark knocked down shots, delivered highlight reel assists, and elevated the players around her. To many observers, that performance suggested the issue wasn't basketball chemistry at all. They believed it was about ego. Clark's group appeared to represent the future, while the Olympic veterans looked slower and less dynamic. After that game, rumors about Clark potentially distancing herself from Team USA seemed far more believable. Why would she want to commit to a system that appears unwilling to embrace her style of play? Then there's the Sheryl Swoopes factor. The Hall of Famer has become one of Clark's most outspoken critics, frequently questioning her accomplishments and even making inaccurate claims about her college career. Despite those controversies, the league has continued to feature Swoopes as an analyst. To Clark's supporters, that sends another discouraging message. It suggests the league is comfortable rewarding voices that consistently diminish her achievements. Many have described the environment as increasingly toxic. In most workplaces, if a senior employee publicly misrepresented the accomplishments of a top performer, management or human resources would step in. Instead, many fans believe the WNBA has allowed it to continue. That ongoing criticism may be one reason Clark would consider distancing herself from the league's inner circle. The silence from Clark's camp has only intensified the speculation. Normally, a public relations representative would release a statement shutting down rumors by reaffirming her commitment to Team USA and expressing excitement for future opportunities. Instead, there's been almost complete silence. That quiet has led many to believe serious conversations are taking place behind closed doors. It suggests Clark understands the influence she now holds. She doesn't need the Olympics to build her brand. She's already become a global sports icon. Yet the Olympics may still need her to capture the casual audience that follows her career. Consider everything she's endured this season. Relentless full-court pressure, constant double teams, repeated physical contact, and numerous hard hits that many believed went uncalled. Despite all of that, she continued playing heavy minutes and helped lead her team into the playoffs. After everything she contributed, many fans expected stronger support from league leadership. Instead, they believe she was left to defend herself. To them, it represents a company failing to protect its most valuable employee. In the NBA, stars who feel mistreated have often requested trades or chosen to sit out. In Clark's case, stepping away from international basketball could be viewed as a form of long-term load management, prioritizing her physical and emotional health over a gold medal opportunity that initially excluded her. All of this has created a deep divide among fans. Longtime WNBA supporters often argue that the league was thriving before Clark arrived and believe she's receiving excessive attention. Meanwhile, millions of newer fans feel Clark has been unfairly targeted and disrespected. That growing divide has become a major challenge for the league. Many believe it was the commissioner's responsibility to unite both sides, but instead, her comments widen the gap. By framing much of the controversy as a marketing opportunity, she alienated many of the new fans who fiercely support Clark. If Clark ever walked away from the Indiana Fever, many of those supporters say they would follow her rather than remain loyal to the league. While Olympic ratings remain strong this year, many wonder whether the Los Angeles Games in 2028 would generate the same excitement without her. Another major factor is Angel Reese. The rivalry between Reese and Clark has become one of the biggest storylines in sports, carrying over from college into the professional game. Yet many believe the league has struggled to manage that rivalry effectively, allowing emotions to escalate while players and fans fueled the hostility. When Reese celebrated a teammate's hard foul on Clark, critics argued that the league allowed the controversy to spiral because it generated attention and clicks. But many insist there's a clear difference between tough, physical basketball and intentionally targeting a player. Every step of the way, Clark has taken a high road, refusing to play the victim or get involved in the trash talk. But everyone has a breaking point. If she ultimately decides to leave the Indiana Fever or step away from the national team, the consequences for 2028 could be enormous. It may be her quiet, professional way of saying that she has had enough of the chaos. The Los Angeles Olympics are expected to become the biggest stage in the history of American women's sports, with many believing the WNBA will reach an entirely new global audience. But without the most recognizable female basketball player in the world, that moment may never reach its full potential. Team USA would still be an outstanding basketball team if Clark chose not to participate, but many argue they would lose the cultural impact she brings. Clark attracts people who normally have no interest in basketball, and without her, the event inevitably loses part of its appeal. That's why many believe league officials are becoming increasingly concerned. Now consider the financial side of the situation. WNBA players are preparing for a new collective bargaining agreement, seeking larger salaries, improved benefits, and a greater share of league revenue. Much of that financial growth has been tied to Clark's popularity. If she becomes disconnected from the league or the national program, that momentum could slow dramatically. Should she decide to step away or stop promoting the league's biggest events, much of that influence disappears. Other players also face an important reality. They wanted private charter flights, higher salaries, and greater financial rewards, but many critics argue those opportunities were accelerated by Clark's arrival. You can't benefit from the phenomenon while rejecting the person who helped create it. There's also a deeply emotional side to this story. Growing up, Caitlin Clark dreamed of playing for the Indiana Fever. Her admiration for legends like Diana Taurasi and Sue Bird has been evident throughout previous interviews. To feel rejected by the system, while also seeing some of those same idols criticize or distance themselves from her, would undoubtedly be heartbreaking. For Clark and many of her supporters, it represents the loss of innocence and exposes the darker side of professional sports, where politics, jealousy, and gatekeeping often become part of the conversation. If Clark ever speaks publicly about everything that has happened, many believe her tone won't be angry, but disappointed. That disappointment is something countless fans would understand. They watch a young player enter the league hoping to inspire everyone around her, only to see many of the people she admired appear unwilling to fully embrace her success. Being left off the Olympic roster represented more than simply missing a tournament. To many observers, it became a test of her value. The selection committee wanted to prove that the system was bigger than any individual player and that they could succeed without the Clark effect. Technically, they achieved their goal by winning another gold medal. However, many argue the victories weren't as dominant as expected, and the excitement surrounding the team wasn't nearly what it could have been. They may have won the tournament, but they lost the opportunity to capture a historic cultural moment. In today's world of viral moments and global branding, that matters. Clark symbolizes the future of women's basketball, while many critics believe the decision-makers chose to protect the past instead. So where does the league go from here? Many believe the commissioner holds the key. Rather than offering carefully crafted corporate statements, critics argue she should deliver a sincere apology and demonstrate that Clark's safety, respect, and well-being matter more than manufactured rivalries or media attention. Otherwise, the rumors about Clark distancing herself from the national program may continue to grow. Clark has already built a brand powerful enough to succeed with or without the WNBA. She could expand into media, camps, business ventures, and countless other opportunities. She can continue being Caitlin Clark regardless of where she plays. The question many fans are asking is whether the WNBA can maintain the same level of relevance without her. Some believe the league may have damaged its own golden opportunity. Given the Olympic snub, the physical treatment on the court, and the criticism surrounding the commissioner's comments, it's understandable why rumors continue suggesting Clark is considering a different path. Even if she was repeatedly told to wait her turn, she now has the power to choose another direction. If she ultimately walks away from the national team, many believe the responsibility will fall on league leadership for prioritizing the comfort of the established veterans over the potential of a transformational rookie. They chose stability over revolution, and they may now be forced to watch that revolution happen without them. The coming months will be critical. Will there be reconciliation? Will the veterans embrace a different future? Or will the divide continue to grow? One thing is becoming increasingly clear. Caitlin Clark is no longer just another rookie grateful for an opportunity. She has become a brand, a business, and a transformational force within the sport. As she recognizes her own value, many believe she is no longer willing to tolerate what she views as disrespect. For many of her supporters, the commissioner's remarks about the controversy becoming part of the league's marketing strategy represented the final straw. Even after winning Olympic gold, some believe the WNBA now risks losing its biggest star. What do you think? Is Caitlin Clark right to stand up for herself? Or should she have remained patient and waited until 2028? Your answer could shape the conversation about the future of women's basketball for years to come. Share your thoughts in the comments below, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss another update. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.